Bigger is always better, and nothing emphasizes my point more than Total War. Today we are diving back in with an absolutely glorious laboratory battle as I pit the new Chaos Dwarfs up against an army from Kislev, as well as reinforcements from the Empire. In today's battle we have over 30,000 soldiers, so we are going absolute balls to the wall when it comes to the size, and honestly the game is running really well. I was super surprised with just how impressive like the actual performance of this was as I engage in against some of the enemy cavalry. I mean, berry cavalry doesn't really fit, does it? Oh yeah, I also forgot as well when I was recording this battle to actually go ahead and turn the gravity back down from my previous engagement, so you may see some dwarfs going flying. For my army, I have a pretty standardized force. You can see up here as well, I do have 14,000 soldiers. The enemy have around about 18,000, so a pretty gnarly force. On my right flank, of course, I pretty much my entire main battle line. I have some of the Infernal Iron Swarm. These guys are absolute monsters. I love the helmets and the design of the weapons. This looks absolutely incredible. Behind them, for my cavalry forces, I am going to be wielding the Bull Centaurs with great weapons. They'll be a great counter to a lot of what Kislev has to offer with their cavalry. And then finally behind that, I also have the Infernal Guard as well. I found it quite hard to use these bad boys. There just wasn't really good avenues, and when you've got these big blocks of 800 soldiers, you can't really do too much to get them all firing. There are some situations where we do actually do a pretty good job, but again, I did find it kind of hard to fully commit everybody into battle to get them full 800 rifles shooting. Going up on the other side of my battle, I have a lot of Empire swords to help pad out the enemy line. You can see an Ice Bear as well as some of the dark magic from the Chaos Dwarfs twists and turns in the distance. And it seems like the Ice Bear is actually sending a lot of the Kislev soldiers and the Empire soldiers flying into the abyss. I mean, that guy, yeah, hopefully can land on his feet and continue to fight. The rest of Kislev forces, we have a lot of Zargard scattered throughout there. They are also being led by Katarina, and Volkmar is going to be leading the Empire soldiers. I was also wondering if you guys want to see more of these battles. Do let me know. One of the hardest things when trying to record something like this isn't actually surprisingly the performance, because as I said, the game is actually running really well with 30,000 soldiers. It's more so the maps. There's just not a lot of large-scale maps in Warhammer. That's kind of, I guess, one of the things that have plagued the game for me, is I really like big battlefields of Davidi et Impera and other stuff like that. So actually finding the right maps which are large enough to facilitate these in humongous of battles are, you know, always going to be one of the hardest things. But something I have found is a lot of the online battle maps seemingly are a bit bigger than the single-player ones, so I'm going to be messing around with them a lot more, trying to find some nice cinematic ones. And again, if you guys have any good suggestions for modded maps, I know there's not a lot for Warhammer 3, but do let me know down below in the comments, because I'd be more than happy to check them out and give it a go again. Let me know also what type of factions you would also like to see. So in the battle right now, as you guys can see, if I zoom all the way out, and we'll go back on this mode so you can see the unit sizes. Over on the left-hand side, my Bull Centaurs have kind of got pinned down by a lot of the enemy cavalry, along with their hybrid musket and spear units. These guys from Kislev have been able to basically surround them, and there's not really any getting out. I mean, my Bull Centaurs are still going pretty hard right now, up to 300 kills, which I guess isn't really that impressive, honestly, when you're fighting so many soldiers. But for now, they are holding down this flank, and they're doing a fine job. And they have also then enabled me to be able to get this unit of Infernal Guard around the flank. And as you can see, they are firing some pretty decent volleys in right into the side, trying to take down as many of the Bear Riders as they can. These guys are positioned in the woods, giving them some good cover, and they're able just to run pretty much through a lot of the lone Infernal Guard that do stick around in the forest itself. I have also committed my Destroyer in on this battle. And again, yeah, I guess another question I want to ask you guys as well is, do you guys want to see the entity scaling of these individual creatures scaled up? I'd be more than happy to give that a go. I think it works really well on pretty much every single monstrous unit. I just don't like it on the Legendary Lords. Unfortunately, there's no separate slider to increase the actual size of monsters on top of Legendary Lords. I'd love to be able to turn that off, so I just have the monsters because, yeah, I think the Legendary Lords are fine the way they are, but turning off everything else would be really cool. But yeah, I can also do that, and then we just have, like, you know, huge Legendary Lords and other characters roaming around like this absolute badasses, getting back to the battle after being sent flying. Over on the right hand side again, we have a pretty staunch wall of our dwarven warriors as the rifles of the Infernal Guard behind them fire off, probably hitting a back of their helmet or two, you know, but you know, I guess it's all fair in love and war, and these Empire soldiers literally do not stand a chance. This right flank was also just kind of like fodder, I guess, for the AI as we go into the Misty Mountains. And I mean, oh my god, it just looks so good. The battlefields, you know, even though they are small, really are very aesthetic. And yeah, the actual mist in the forest is such a nice touch by the developers. I think it's a real nice addition. The right hand side is going really well for my forces. The Bull Centaurs on this side, and as you can see, rip through the Bear Cavalry, and now pushing on, taking out the remnants of this infantry, able to send them flying with them impact hits. Very brutal. There's also a lot you can actually do in the laboratory, which I'd be more than happy to mess around with. There's a few things where you can turn up like the impact damage as well, so I think it'd be really interesting to have, like, I don't know, a line of spears going up against an entire army from Bretonia and just seeing how much of that additional impact damage actually does apply, and then maybe turning the gravity up as well. You'd be sending the units absolutely flying in battle. As we make our way back over to the left hand side, you can see a nice little flaming tornado there ripping through the enemy formations. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's something about this Ice Bear that just needs to be like 10 times the size. I feel like the entity scaling on a lot of the monstrous units in the game are just so much better. Like, this isn't very impactful at all. I feel like it's smaller than it normally is. Like, I feel like this is normally way bigger. I don't know. Maybe I'm not picking, maybe there's a giant variant and I picked the smaller one. I feel like this bear is absolutely tiny compared to what it normally is. Maybe I've turned the unit entity scaling down or something. I don't know. Or maybe I just have not played with Kislev in a little while. It's probably the latter. Oh, and here we go as well. Some of the regiments of renowned for the Chaos Dwarfs as well. This unit is brutal. Their weapons are extremely deadly, and you can see them just such an aggressive unit for them, with the artillery as well from the mortars coming in. Very inaccurate, may I mention. When they do hit, they do a lot of damage. Also bringing some more rifles here as well, looking just to hammer in there as much as I can. And at this point in the battle, you can see that the rifles are doing a pretty good job. I've also committed my hobgoblins as well, who are getting flung around, but they're just here to absolutely mob this unit as best as they can. Keep them busy, keep them tied down so they can't go into my more important units like my Infernal Guard, and just trying to keep the enemy as busy as physically possible. As you go back down the line as well, you can see a few more of the Bear Cavalry getting stuck in, some more of the Hobgoblins moving up. Oh yeah, by the way as well, in that unit right there, there's like 1,800 Hobgoblins in just that one unit. That's pretty incredible, right? Like, again, just to show I'm not lying. A lot of them are dead now. 1,400, sorry. So actually, I was lying. I take that back. Jackie, you should never show people. You should just let them believe in the magic. 1,400 is still pretty impressive if we go back through the actual woodland area, which is honestly providing great cover for this Bear Cavalry. The amount of volleys I've stuck into here, and a lot of them are just rattling off the forest and the other bits of terrain. There's another flaming tornado goes off there in the distance. I really should have brought way more artillery in this battle, you know, like I definitely could have kind of upped up the amount of brutality that we could have. And I mean, oh, it's just a beautiful picture looking down the battle line. It's something like that that just looks incredible as the next volley does come off. And there's even like a big old battle going on all the way over here as well. You can see the Chaos Dwarf helmets off in the distance. And that's not even like the entire battle. There's more combat going on past the actual forest line itself. And this, for me, is what Total War is all about. Like, having these big engagements, and then off in the distance, you see, you know, more engagements going off and fighting. Look at that coming out of the forest as well. Can I zoom in on that, maybe? Yeah, look at that off in the distance. You can see the Bull Centaurs, infantry pouring out. You know, whenever I was growing up and reading Warhammer lore, it's just stuff like this which was always just fascinated me so much. and was always really, really impressive. We can now see, though, for the most part, the AI with the Zargard breaking through there, destroying, pushing back my Chaos Dwarfs, which I guess of, they're fleeing for their life now, running as fast as they can, as another volley does come in. Somehow, that Snow Bear has not gone down right, or the Ice Bear has not gone down. It has been absolutely peppered by infernal shots, and yet it is standing tall and standing strong. Maybe I should send my Destroyer after it, as the Zargard continues to batter against my shield wall. For the most part, though, over on this right-hand side, there are a lot of Empire dead. Men in uniforms thrown down to the ground, weaponry, swords, shields, and the like scattered to the winds, and my dwarfs trying to keep up with these Empire soldiers. Come on, my man, you can run. You can outrun a dwarf, surely. You're running for your life right now as the northern lights off in the distance explode once more, and I guess he is going to escape this time. The rest of my Chaos Dwarfs are now making their way outside the forest, and basically the goal here is just to wrap around. We're going to clear off the remnants of these armored Kossars with my Hobgoblins and the front of my Eternal Ironborn, and then we're going to wrap around and Ironsworn, I should say, and then we're going to wrap around and basically just clear up this line. I mean, again, for the most part, they are doing a pretty good job as we get another nice little Hellhammer, I think that spell's called, down onto the Zargard. And one of the great things about Kislev is their unbreakable morale, so even if you do get them low, they're still going to stick around for that a little bit longer as the as another spell comes in right now, lowering their melee defense and also lowering their speed. I believe this Ash Storm, maybe? And you can see the units fighting bravely on, committing more men over on that left-hand side as well, trying to wrap around. And even the Zargard with great weapons are starting to struggle a little bit. Actually noticed, I was about to say, I haven't really noticed Katarina really doing much in this battle. I think she's, just been sitting back and casting spells, but Volkmar himself has been stuck in there. I totally forgot as well to stick him on his altar. So he has just been running in completely separately. Yeah, I must, okay, that must be it. I must have turned the unit entity down because, these characters are absolutely tiny. Look at them. Wow. Yeah, I must have stuck it down for like 50%. Okay, interesting. I was wondering why the Ice Bear was so small, but that's obviously it because, Volkmar, I don't think is smaller than a Chaos Dwarf, but maybe that's just Empire propaganda, pretending like he's taller, and he is actually that small. Or maybe it's some witchcraft by the Chaos Dwarfs to make themselves feel better and a little bit taller. They can take the lifts out their shoes and fight on. At this point of the battle, though, is pretty much over. Honestly, though, the Bear Cavalry holding, they've just been defeating waves upon waves of my Hobgoblins as they throw themselves forward. This right-hand side as well, this battle has kind of created its very own little conclave right there as my Dwarfs get pressed in pretty hard, but able to hold the line and keep the enemy at bay just for a little bit longer. And they've kept that longer in so that the Infernal Guard can get some good rear shots off into the Zargard. But their armor is holding, and it's doing a decent job at keeping me back. But as you can see, look at that true amount of legions making their way around this flank, and that is going to see the rest of the enemy forces pretty much broken at this point. You can see that Volkmar is very close to going down. I think this poor Patriarch is holding the line. Yeah, that's so funny that I made it so small. I mean, our boy Astragoth is still pretty tall, I guess, with his added bonuses of his legs. But yeah, it's funny that I did not notice that until we got to this point in the battle, which is basically going to be the end. Pretty much with that, the battle is over. Just clearing up Volkmar for whatever reason. He's seemingly holding on to his... I mean, I guess he does have like a 50,000 HP, so very strong. I was able to break Katarina, but he was holding on to the bitter end. I think he's unbreakable or something else along those lines, believing in Sigma himself. But that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys want to see more huge scale battles, let me know down below in the comments. I definitely want to go up to like 50,000 and see how that handles it, and just keep on going. From my tests, I think around about 60,000 is where the game starts to struggle a little bit, but this was 30,000 soldiers, which is like 10 times the size of the average Warhammer battle. So again, if you want to see more like this, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.